Propel Fitness Water. With Gatorade electrolytes, zero sugar, and vitamins, Propel hydrates better than water to help you get the most out of your workout and get back to your best self. What propels you? Propel with Gatorade electrolytes.
This episode is brought to you by Google Chrome. You think you know a browser, but Gemini and Chrome? That's new. It can help you with practically anything on the web, like restoring a vintage motorcycle from a 50-page restoration blog, or finally break down that long article you've had open for weeks. Gemini and Chrome is here for it. Ready to make anything online make sense? There's no place like Chrome. Check responses, setup required, compatibility and availability varies, 18+.
This message is brought to you by Apple Card. Shave ice by the beach, a trip to the state fair, and a throwback flick at the local drive-in. They're more than just items to check off the summer bucket list. They're also opportunities to earn 2% daily cash back when you use your Apple Card with Apple Pay. Apply for Apple Card now and use in minutes with Apple Pay. Subject to credit approval. Apple Card is issued by Goldman Sachs Bank USA, Salt Lake City branch. Terms and more at applecard.com.
From the Fifth Quarter Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, you're listening to Coach Unplugged. And now, your host, Steve Collins.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Coach Unplugged. We're so excited you decided to join us. Make sure you go over and leave those 5-star reviews. If you like this, go over and listen to our other podcasts like the 5-Minute Basketball Coaching Podcast or High School Hoops or Funnel Down Defense or Coaching Youth Hoops or whatever one of the 7 in our network that you would like to listen to. But before we jump in, I'd like to give a big shout out to our 2 sponsors. First of all, Dr. Dish, the #1 shooting machine on the market. They are always, what I love about Dr. Dish is they're always innovating. They're always making that a little bit better. And that's why I think they're the best machine out there. Like I've said before, we own 3 of them, and I would not be talking about them every day if I did not believe in them. Mention Coach Unplugged, they'll give you $450 off, and they'll give you A1 customer service. And then also what helps keep the lights on, what helps keep everything moving is teachhoops.com. It's for coaches who want to get better. It is a one-stop shop by a basketball coach for a basketball coach. I'm always working with my team 365 days a year, working on making us better. And I want to do the same thing for you. I'm giving you resources, one-on-one calls, office hours, a roadmap per se that will help you become a better coach. And we offer a 14-day free trial because I believe you should come in and kick the tires around and see if it's right for you. If it's not, that's fine. But I guarantee that you're going to love it. All right, let's head off to the podcast.
So my first year, they had spring break trips. We made the Final Four. They all canceled them. From then on, they didn't schedule spring break trips because the value and the standard we ascend is we are going to state. And so I think that the value is they trusted each other. They believed in each other, that they were going to expect that that's where we're going. So we're going to think of, okay, we're going to plan. So I think some of that is they all have the same values of what each other needed. And some of that values is also the fact is they understand. So it's 2-part. The other side that they understand and accept that they have a unique role that matters.
Where do you think that comes from? What is that from you? Is that from them? Is that from
that would give me too much credit. I think us coaches, we have to show them possibilities. And you have to hope that together they can learn and recognize potential of reaching those. Some of that has to be how they were raised. Some of it has to be in how their teammates help them to reach it. I think you somewhat have to have some of a perfect situation sometimes that comes up because generationally you have a wide spectrum of parent dynamics. So we would say back in the day, all parents, we raise them a certain way. Well, everybody raises kids differently. Okay, so you're gonna have some ways this way, some ways that way. Okay, but do you have an understanding and trust in players that they can motivate each other, they care about each other enough that the success of their teammates is worth tweaking some things for this possibility. And I think that's the blessing I had of the success we've had is
I agree. I do you think do you think there's something that something that causes that, or how? I mean, is there a catalyst that we can use to move that forward if it's not there?
I think part of it is, so the school I was at is a 7 through 12. Almost all of them are 7 through 12ers. So they've been with each other a long time. I think that's the other dilemma, is that you are seeing of why the good public schools, kids have been there and with each other. So they have grown up with each other. The problem you see sometimes with private schools now is you have to mitigate a lot of talent, and you have to use that talent kind of like a prep school, that your whole thing is, we got to win. It's kind of like an AAU team to some extent. The problem is the most success I've seen consistency is programs that have a family dynamic that has blossomed. So even if you're a 9 through 12 school, that those coaches have made inroads with middle schools. Different schools have different rules. If you're in a private school, you have made inroads with families, that the fact is that their kids will continually go to that school, so that everybody has always grown up together. So like this 6-year-old sister has been with the program now for 7, 8 years, they understand. So I think going to, it's partially out of our control as coaches, but the things in our control is how we continue to build a culture and transition and bring people in, so that by the time they get to us, it's like they've been a part of the community their entire life, which is that the winningest coach tends to be winning consistently because it's a community. This basketball program is a community. The camps are a community. They get to know all the kids' names. The campers have been going with each other forever. They get to high school.
So talk about that community part. So that you think that's the secret sauce.
I think it's part of it. And I think if you look at, by the way, I always love when people say, oh, we're a family. By the way, I know a lot of dysfunctional families, so I don't know if that's a good thing. So I think if you look at a sense of a community, every community has people with specific roles that they need to do their roles for the community to flourish. So if you look at a towns that go bye-bye, that become dead, lose the sense of community, don't have people doing their roles, it's just forgotten. Same with programs. The programs that have people in the community constantly nurturing, trying to get people there, making sure they're a part of it, making sure there's fans, making sure that it's a community to build a championship team. If you have no fans, you're not going to get people excited about coming to your school. If you don't have good fans, if you don't get students coming, if you don't got people excited, and I hate to say it now for high school coaches, if you don't have a reputation of getting kids to college,
right?
Like that is a community. Like I always say, I'm blessed to have a lot of friends that coach college. Like they'll come to our open gyms, they'll come to games, even if we have nobody to support the community,
right,
for that time. So I think it's hard because it's not just about coaching to build success. You might win a year, but to build success, you have to build a community that is engaged, that they want you to be successful.
Right.
Because
part of it's longevity. Yes. I think, too.
Oh, and nobody does a longevity. People hop more than anything now. It is a skipping activity between coaches. And they think, and by the way, it's perfectly okay. But the problem is, if we as coaches are okay with not building longevity in our schools, and we're just there to win, and then we leave 2 seconds after, why can we complain about students doing the same thing, expect them to stay around?
Right.
So for me, it's building. So and it's a start. I always tell coaches, if you want to build a community, start at camp. Build the camp. Do free, I do free camps. I do free coaching clinics. I do free a lot of things. People want to make money, that's great. I'm not a big deal with it. I grew up I didn't grow up with tons of money, so you get used to it. But people then will start coming because, oh, it's free, I'm going to learn. You're building people. Then they start coming to the things that's next. Then they keep coming. Now they're coming to games. So like our 3 games this year, the 3 losses, we sold out every one of the games. That has never happened in St. Louis very often. That so many people want to watch 2 teams battle that it sells out. And was unheard of for the school I was at. Like they had 3 years before me, like the year before me, they would maybe have 30 people at a game. So the community came around the school, loved what the girls are amazing people. We would have 12, 13, 14, 1,500 people at a game. With 4 years, their freshman, they had 40 because the community wanted to see them be successful.
So talk about the difference between do you have boys at your school?
Yeah, it's co-ed.
Okay.
The school,
so the relationship
the last
there,
3 years it was co-ed, yeah.
Okay, so tell me the relationship between you and the boys coach.
It was fine. The boys had some success previously. Like the boys, between the girls and the boys, when I got there, the boys had success and the girls had it in 20 years.
Right.
So I think but in this year the boys had a lot of success. The boys made the Final Four, finished second. We won. But I think I will always say the girls and the boys had a love to see each other be successful. The teachers grew to love to see both programs be successful. And I think that makes a difference. So, because then you would have people, which is, by the way, we all know is not normal. People would go watch the guys play. People would come watch the girls play. Lots of people watch.
And that goes back to what you were saying before about connections too.
Yeah.
All right, couple things. Well, I'm not going to ask you that because we already kind of talked about that. If you weren't coaching basketball, what would you be doing?
Oh, you mean coaching or just in general?
In general, I don't know, or both.
So I do enjoy. I still do work with a lot of athletes. I would probably do what I would work with a lot of athletes on the mental performance side. I enjoy it. I've been able and blessed with the opportunity to help teams and players be successful by getting out of their own way. But I was a huge bowler growing up. My aunt owned a bowling alley, so I grew up bowling, and I was supposedly decently good at it. Could have went and bowled college, but decided to coach JV girls instead. But I think I would love to go back and coach bowling as something different, because it was such a passion of mine when I was growing up. But for me, I don't like sitting still. So I got talked into coaching volleyball a couple years ago. I got talked into coaching softball at some time. I get talked into a lot of things. But because we know, if we go off the teaching mentality, coaching is just pedagogy. It's just content.
It is. And it's just like teaching. What would you tell your younger self as far as like this run and these state championships and these, what would you say? What advice would you give? And what would you say to,
I think the biggest thing that I would try to get myself to understand is that you're going to believe that reaching certain goals is going to make you happy. And that's a lie.
Right.
Because as I told people, like I've had an amazing career. I've been blessed to have success that I probably didn't deserve sometimes. And I'm like, if I make the NCAA tournament again, I'll be happy. It didn't happen. Okay, if I do this, I'll be happy. If I have an all-met, wait. The problem is, so I would tell myself, your goal should be, how can you help others? And you will be happy. So, and I've also find if my focus is on how can I make my players better holistically.
Yes, that's
I am successful. But if I am successful does not mean I'm helping my players. So I had some amazing team. And what I had one team is actually one of my teams at Parkside. We had a great success. I think it was probably the worst coaching job I've ever did because I look back at it and I didn't take care of my players as well as I should have, and I regret it to this day. But we won. So I had success, but I wasn't successful.
Right.
I've had teams that, won 5 games and I got them to win 15 games. We lost in a district finals game.
And it was probably your best coaching ever.
Well, because because they had to jump. Even my first year at Burroughs winning state a couple of years ago, a program that haven't won in 20 years that was just hoping to get to the district finals game, won state. To me, in just the last few years, I always tell people is my focus was not on me winning. My focus on how can I take this amazing group of young women who I care about and help them reach a height that they have never considered. And it changes your view and how you do things. And if you go back to the teacher model, and this is the other thing I would tell myself, if you coach like you teach, you will never have problems. Because I've never seen a teacher cuss out a player. I've never cussed out a student. I've never seen a good teacher demean a student.
Right.
I've never seen a teacher. Yeah. I've only seen teachers work to elevate their students. So as a coach, if your job is, I'm going to work to elevate my students as well as I can, you're going to have success. And I think that's what I would tell myself because I was skewed. It was all about winning. Because I wanted to feel better. Like
the problem, and here's what I tell coaches, it's that competitive part. And it's, I want to, because when you were a player and you want to win, and it's like, well, yeah. Trust me, I think you've hit the nail too. One of them is like, the great teachers are great coaches, but none of us got into this profession to become, wealthy and buy my 5th house in, Nantucket or whatever. We did it to hopefully make a difference. I think we lose that perspective sometimes. There is a little bit of that community and all that, but a successful season is, yes, you want to win a state championship. All of us do. But I don't know if that's have always been my most successful ones. If you were going to tell a coach, so this is the last question, I always like to end on this one. If you were going to tell a coach that's listening to this that wants to win a state championship, that wants to build a program, that wants to be that, and what give them 2 or 3 things that you think are non-negotiables, that you got to make sure these are the things that not the 6A power forward, but what would be the non-negotiables?
You have to invest in your players more than anything else. And that goes back to my thing, is investing in players is not about the basketball side. It's investing on them. Because if that will direct you in a lot of good ways when your whole focus is investing in them. Be reflective, not reactive. So when things happen,
dive into that a little bit more. What do you mean by that?
When things happen, don't react, reflect first. So like, for instance, turnover, don't get up and start getting mad about that. Reflect on what do they need to be told in that situation. So instead of think, and by the way, it's one reason why I sit, so that I only get up when I want to say things, and then I sit my back down. I do not talk while I'm in a chair.
So you're using nonverbal there too, because the kids know if you're standing, you're saying something.
Yes. And it's really funny when I have to ask an official for timeout when I'm sitting on down, just nonchalantly saying, "Hey, timeout."
Right.
And so I think the other thing is, what you start with is what's most important. And I think,
say that again. What is that?
What you start things with. So anytime you're with your players, whatever you start with, you are telling them is the most important thing to you. So like, for instance, if our first drill is conditioning, then that's the most important thing to me. If the first thing I say to them in a meeting, that's the most important thing. We always put the things we care about the least at the end of everything we do. Because if we have to cut things, we're going to cut that.
So that goes to timeouts too, people. That goes to
Yes,
halftime. The first thing
yes,
you say.
yes,
I
yes.
love that. I love that.
I had to learn this because I was at Ashland University, has an amazing women's basketball program. They've had the last 3 head coaches have been amazing. And Sue Ramsey, who won a couple national championships at Ashland in Ohio, it's a D2 school. And then the person who follows it, Robin Fralick, who's at Michigan State, and then, the coach who's at now, Kerry Pickens. Being at their practice one time, the one thing I learned from them on that, which is why I take it, is every day they have a phrase or something a value that they have to talk about before practice. And I talked to Sue about this, and it's because her comment was to me, and the way I got it is, if you're going to start practice and use practice time for whatever it is, they are going to recognize that has so much value to you because it is automatically what you're starting the day with. So for me, as I put it in terms of everything. So if I'm having a timeout and the first thing I'm going to do is yell at them about a turnover they made 5 times ago, the whole timeout, the only thing they're going to focus on is that turnover 5 times ago. So instead, it's like, hey, what are we going to target this? Even if you're talking before practice, if you huddle before practice or you just huddle after practice, that's telling something. So I think for me, it comes down to the investing, I think, is so important. I think at the end of the day, what you start with is I think all those things for me is what I have to remind myself of when I'm not be reflective, not reactive. It's because if you watch basketball coaches now, everything I just said is the opposite of what you see.
It is. It is.
And
but not the good ones, not the good ones necessarily.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. But most of them, if you go in majority, and once again, I remember when my Wisconsin
Steve Kerr's not reactive. Steve Kerr isn't
But and once again, but you and I both know here's the other side of that. It is hard for players to play for me because I do not yell. It is hard for players to play with me because I say what I mean, and it's not a game.
It's not a game.
And it's not like optional is optional. Optional is not only optional if you think it, whatever. So I think it is also hard, going back to your question about coaches, is all of that is what I've had to learn, because anything that you were taught by watching others, in my opinion, I'm speaking from the I perspective, isn't going to help me win.
Right.
It's about me, my ego, and I'm pissed. Right. It's not about my players. Those 3 things are all focused on the players. And
so give those 3 things. Let's do a summary again. Reflective.
So invest in your players. Always invest in your players. If what you are doing is not investing in your players, don't do it. Be reflective, not reactive. Make sure before you react to anything, you are reflective on what they need you to do in that situation. Predominantly have a negative. And the last one is whatever you start things with should be the most important thing that they need to know or they need to do.
I love that. Well, thank you, Coach. We're running out of time here. I appreciate you coming on. I really do. Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Right,
appreciate your time.
Yep. Hey, everybody. I hope you're enjoying this. If you are, maybe go over and check out Coach Collins' other podcasts, Teacher's Side Gig and High School Hoops. Subscribe, leave a 5-star review. Maybe. And then also you can go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. All right. Have a great day.
This episode is brought to you by ChatGPT. Hey, it's Bill Simmons from the Bill Simmons Podcast. Have you guys heard about ChatGPT work? It's the new way to use ChatGPT for bigger multi-step projects. And when you need more than just answers, give ChatGPT work access to your apps and files, and it can create real work documents like spreadsheets, slides, and structured reports. Get started at chatgpt.com by selecting work mode, available on Plus and Pro plans.
Cozy season is ahead, and you'll be spending way more time inside. Is your home ready? Don't worry. With Wayfair, you can upgrade your space without breaking the bank. Score up to 70% off during their Labor Day clearance on furniture, area rugs, mattresses, and more. Plus, surprise flash deals you can't miss. Whether it's one room or the whole house, Wayfair has pieces for every style and budget.
Shop Wayfair's Labor Day clearance now through September 7th at wayfair.com.
Wayfair, every style, every home.